Okay, so this class is on open houses, and this is very informal. So what I'd like you to do is, if at any time you're not clear or I say something that doesn't make sense, stop me and ask the question. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay, good. So, in fact, the more you participate, the more valuable content we can record. Yes? Okay, so the purpose of this class is for you to learn about open houses and how to be more effective in driving your traffic to the open house. And then when you get traffic there, how do you best handle it to convert that to an actual client? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so just so we're clear, the purpose of an open house is for what?
Exposure.
Yeah, get yourself out there, right? So it's how many clients can you pick up because you're putting yourself out there. And what I think a lot of agents miss is it's not just about picking up buyers. I think what a lot of agents miss is the mentality that there are people out there that need to sell that are coming to an open house to interview agents, and you don't even know it. But they're very standoffish, and so we're going to talk about some dialogue and some scripting to break that ice, build a relationship, so that you can get their contact information. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had any trouble in getting people's contact information when they come to an open house?
Yes.
Yes. By the way, that's a very common problem for most agents. So I'm going to teach you a different approach to get their information. Would that be of interest to you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we have this little open house checklist. This is going to be on the company intranet if it's not already. So we're going to use this as an outline, so to speak. Okay, so again, this is very informal, not real scripted, just kind of off the cuff, because that's where organically a lot of nice content comes out. And I haven't been able to talk all day. So, all right. First things first. When does your open house begin?
10 to 2. So 10. But before that, right when you set it up, because then there's all the prep time and the inviting and an hour before to set up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So here's the deal. The moment you decide to hold an open house and you've selected a location, I don't care if that's on a Monday and your open house is on a Saturday. Your open house has begun. So the amount and the quality of the traffic that comes through is already being determined by you energetically and what you're contributing towards that open house. So with your activity tracker, for example, you're marking down what days of the month you're going to do open houses. You're energetically putting focus and attention on that, and the thoughts that you have about it will determine the amount and quality of your traffic.
Right.
This has been tried and true by so many agents. So give it a shot and play with that mentality and see how it shows up for you. The same thing's true for call sessions or any other type of lead generating. Okay, so you set an open house.
4 hours is standard, or can you do an open house for 2?
You can do it for 2. I'm going to say, though, the amount of effort that goes into setting up an open house and then being there, you're going to want a minimum of 3. Because then if you also take into consideration, like putting up your signs, taking them down, all of that stuff, you might as well be there for 3. And so this is a really good point, too. If you're going to do an open house, you're not there to just sit there for 3 or 4 hours. I'm of the opinion that's a significant waste of time. So, what you want to do then is obviously when you decide to do an open house, energetically put all you got into it with marketing so you give yourself the best chance of success possible to drive traffic. But then as you're sitting there, go to work. So whatever your other 2 legs are for your business, whether that's cold calling, your database, whatever it is, be prepared for no one to walk through the door, and you're just going to sit there for 3 or 4 hours and work. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone, yes?
Yes.
So that way, as traffic comes into your open house, that's a bonus. That's a reward for you showing up and acting with proper intention. Does that make sense? Okay? Because again, you don't want your success of the open house to be how many people came through. You don't even want to be the fact that you converted someone. Success in the open house is the fact that I set it up, I got there, I worked it, and I hit my goal, which was to do an open house. So that any work you do while you're in the open house and you succeed with is a bonus. Anybody that does come through the door that ends up becoming a client is a bonus. Does this make sense? So you're never attaching your definition of success to the end result of the open house. The fact that you showed up and you did the open house and you worked while you were there, and you completed the open house, that's the win. So make sure we're set on that. Does this make sense? Okay. So first thing, you decided to do an open house. gonna be Saturday from 10 to 2, whatever it is. First thing you wanna do is start marketing the property, that you're gonna have an open house, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so a couple ways we wanna do that. Naturally, you wanna get it into the MLS. So in the MLS, you want it to state the open house, the date, and the time frame, okay? Now, what if it's not your listing? What if it's somebody else's within the brokerage?
Then you harass the listing agent till they put that in the notes.
Yes. Now, I get a lot of agents say, well, Justin, it's not my listing. Why do I want it in the MLS that there's gonna be an open house? Because then just other agents are gonna bring their buyers through. That doesn't benefit me. That's very true. Yet why do you still want it in the MLS that you're having an open house?
Because you're more likely to have people wander through the door with it than not.
Yes, and here's the most important thing. When it's in the MLS that you're having an open house, Zillow, Trulia, and other sites are pulling that data onto their site. That's where you're gonna get buyer traffic. Being the team leader, the Thorstad team, a lot of agents are taking listings still on my team, and I'm the dominant listing agent, they're the co-listing agent. When they put that they're having an open house, and they don't show up, I get calls from buyers through Zillow and Trulia. Hey, I heard there's supposed to be an open house, but there's nobody here. And I'm like, what property are you talking about? Because I'm not doing open houses myself, right? So I'm telling you that because just to let you know, like, buyers are going to open houses because of the information they're finding online. So especially if it's not your listing, but you want to get buyer traffic through Zillow, Trulia, and other websites, you got to make sure that thing's in the MLS immediately. And it takes a couple days to syndicate. So again, if you know you're going to do an open house on Saturday, you want to start setting everything up like on Monday. Make sure it's in the MLS. Inspect that with the listing agent. Okay? Because if not, you're really killing a massive source of potential buyers coming through the door. And then why are you even doing the open house? Does this make sense? So be responsible to make sure that the open house is in the MLS. And then a couple days before your actual open house, go on Zillow, go on Trulia, type in the address, and make sure you see the open house in there. If not, you got to act. You got to get with the listing agent and ask them to go take action on that. So the motto is inspect what you expect. Just because they verbally told you they were going to do it, be responsible and go inspect that it was done. Fair enough? Okay, because what I don't want to hear you say is come back to me and say, hey, I did my open house, but the agent never put it in the MLS. They never put it in Zillow. My next response to you is going to be, did you inspect that? Well, no. Okay, so who was responsible for creating that result? Say aye. Okay, very good. Aye. All right. So we've got the MLS, we've got Zillow, Trulia, all of that handled. Now what about Facebook? What I strongly suggest you do is create some Facebook ads, even if it's just a simple post. On your personal page, post it there. But where else could you post the fact that you're having an open house on Facebook?
In groups,
Yeah, what kind of groups?
neighborhood groups.
Yeah. So if it's in Peoria, Peoria Swap Shop, so it doesn't matter what city you're in, even that community might have their own Facebook group. There's even next door. That's a good place to post it. And you can also, if it is your listing, you can ask your seller to go belong to that group, and they're able to post all kinds of real estate things on there, whereas some agents are not allowed. So get them involved. It's marketing. They want their house sold. They'll go do it, especially if you sit them down and show them how to do it. So you may want to go online and play with that. Then you're also communicating to your client, like, look at all the things that I'm doing to get your house sold. So if it's not selling, and you told them it was overpriced, and they're seeing that you're actually doing marketing because you're holding their hand through the process, now don't you have a little more leverage when you go back to them for a price adjustment? That, I told you it was too high, you see all the marketing I'm doing, so clearly it's not me, it's price. So you're setting yourself up for success. Does this make sense? Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about sign placement. How many signs do you need? Trick question.
As many as we do.
It depends, right? Yeah. Okay, so might you want to inspect that before you do the open house? How would you inspect how many signs you're going to need?
By driving to the house.
Hey, that's one way to do it. You could also pull up Google Maps or something and look at where the property is located and the major intersections. Yes? So here's the deal. I would say at a minimum, you're going to want 2 open house signs per major intersection. So, well, since we got a whiteboard, let's do it this way. For example, Doodle time. And this is obviously not to scale, but let's say your property was over here. These are two major intersections, right? So you'd want two signs here, whatever corners you think is going to have the most amount of traffic. Two here, 5, 6, and then you definitely want one in front of the house. So if there was no turns to get to this property, you're looking at a minimum of 7 signs. The more the better. Like, don't be cheap or skimpy with your signs. Did these cost you money? No, you check them out for free, right? So take what you need. Don't take more than you need, but make sure you're getting enough. Like, it's your success on the line, right? Okay, now, another little trick with open house signs is get something that's going to move to draw visual awareness. So some people go to the dollar store and get some foil helium balloons. You can get a little pinwheel, something that's going to move in the wind, because when people are driving around, if they see motion, it creates, like, it's a visual cue to look at it. They see that thing moving, now they see your sign. Oh, open house sign.
During the summer, American flags are good.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you can go to the dollar store or Walmart, or it doesn't matter. Consider it an investment.
I never looked at it like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's marketing. You're trying to get people's attention, right? Isn't that what marketing is about?
Yeah, duh, because especially that one thing that with the arms,
Yeah.
you can look at it all day.
Exactly. So make it visually appealing, or at least eye-catching, to get their attention. You never know. It could be that one person driving by, that little American flag caught their attention, they see the sign, they drive in the open house, and that's your next deal. So what's it worth to you? Right? These things are so super cheap. It just takes a little bit of time. Go get some flags, pinwheels, balloons, whatever you want. I prefer the flags or the pinwheels because you don't have to keep going out and getting those. Whereas the balloon's only good for that day, right? But if that's your only option, it's better than not having it. Agreed? Okay. Cool. All right, so let's talk about guest registry alternatives. You know what, I'm gonna circle back around to that towards the end. So a lot of agents say you gotta have a guest registry. Now you do want to capture their information, but here's the deal. I don't care how many classes you go to, everyone's going to tell you capture their information as soon as they walk in the door. You're not going to get a very good response with that. I mean, think about it. I don't know you, you don't know me. I just walk into an open house. I don't know if I like the house. I don't know if I like you. And you want me to give you my contact information. I'm not so sure I want you calling me. You haven't earned the right to ask for the information yet. Just because I, a prospective buyer, walked in the door does not mean I should be obligated to give you my information. Yes? That's why you don't get very much. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about how to get their information. In fact, I'm going to tell you how they're going to want to give you their information. Would that be better than forcing them with some kind of little stupid ploy? Like, my seller requires that everyone comes to the house registers. You know what you're going to get?
Fake names.
Yeah, fake names. Fake phone numbers, fake email addresses. So congratulations, you got everyone's contact information and you can't actually contact anybody. Was that successful? Mm-hmm. Not at all, right? Okay. So we're going to circle back around that. You're going to understand this a little more as we talked about scripting and conversations with those people. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so feedback forms. I think this is awesome for you to give your seller feedback. And your seller's probably going to want feedback. Like, what do the buyers have to say? Yes? So, creating a little form. I believe we have one on the intranet. If not, we'll get one up there. Just something simple, and you can alter it however you want. But I would definitely want feedback from those people. So as soon as they walk in the door, we're going to talk about scripting in just a second. You can hand them a feedback card and just say, would you mind, as you walk into the house, before you leave, just give us a little feedback so we know how we're doing. Almost nobody will reject that. Especially if you invite them to with a form. So some people are sly and they put contact information on there, so you think they're going to fill that out because they're giving you feedback. Not necessarily. But think of it this way. If you got the listing and you had a conversation with the seller that the price is a little high based on its condition. Maybe it's flooring, paint, carpet, those kinds of things, right? And now you did an open house, it was successful, you had 12 people come through, and they all give feedback saying price is a little high for the condition and they weren't thrilled about the carpet and the paint. Might you have some leverage with your seller to either get that stuff handled or adjust the price to reflect the condition? Would that help you?
Yes.
that help you get the house sold or make some adjustments so you can get it sold?
Yeah.
Are you providing value by doing that to your seller?
As long as you don't keep it in the kitchen drawer, because I've seen that, where you have pages and pages of the air conditioning doesn't work, or something else is outdated, and so that just kind of poisons everybody else's food.
Yeah, so don't leave the old evidence laying around, clear that out, start
Yes.
from fresh, because what if they did put in new paint and carpet? Don't you want new feedback?
Right.
Okay, so you provided that feedback to your seller, you make some adjustments so you can get the home sold. Now you have a happy client that will do what in the future potentially? Repeat or referral, and that's the name of the game, isn't it? So open houses are super important, not just to pick up new clients, but to support the ones you currently have. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Open house flyer. You definitely want to have something to hand them for information. Quite honestly, not that it matters much, but people just expect to have that. So make sure you get a flyer. A couple places you can get a flyer. Your title partner can help with that. You can make up some generic ones in the MLS. There's Breakthrough Broker, which a lot of title partners offer that program as well. So there's all kinds of solutions to get flyers. In a pinch, you can go right to the MLS. Not the best looking flyers, but it's something. So again, to have a successful open house comes down to planning and preparation. What you do before the open house really matters. So if you've got a whole week, if you've got some time to create a really nice looking flyer. Because again, how many people walking through the door are actually sellers interviewing agents, and the agents don't even know it? So that's your opportunity to shine as a quality listing agent, even if it's not your listing, right? So what you do matters. In fact, if I was going to do open house, I would be looking for sellers. So how do I want to present myself to sellers? Does that make sense? I mean, you might as well capitalize on that opportunity, and you don't know which ones need to sell their house first, because a lot of people do. Okay. So make sure you've got some comparables there for that house. That neighborhood, those market conditions, you want a full-on CMA of what the other comparable properties are going for. You may even want to have a separate, even summary view of the other homes that are available for sale in the community. So for example, if you're sitting at this open house and it's single level, 1,900 square feet, and it has a pool, I would have comps for that general area for that style of home. But I would also have a list of what else is available in that same market area, because they may want a house without a pool. Or they may want more square footage, or whatever the case is. And I can't tell you how many times agents do an open house, they have those comparables, the comparables or other properties available for sale. They'd have a discussion with that client, potential client that walks through the door, and they end up showing them one of those houses and writing a contract. It happens all the time. So be prepared. Be prepared to take advantage of that opportunity called someone walking through the door. And if you have value for them, meaning information, what they're looking for, and you'd have that by preparing, you're going to secure that as a potential client, right? So it comes down to preparation. Okay. Make sure you have a plano for that property in and of itself. So you've got property taxes, HOA fees, all of that pertinent information in case they ask you questions. Especially if it's your listing and you're there unprepared, not knowing the details about your property, and a prospective client walks through the door and asks you questions about your listing and you don't have the answers, how do you feel about yourself? Yeah, not so great, right? And if that is a potential seller that's interviewing agents in the local area, do you look like a high quality listing agent when you don't know the details about your own listing, right? So how simple is it to print out a plano and just make sure you've got all the pertinent information? Okay.
What's the plan?
Yeah, the MLS printout, and I would have the private one that actually shows you all the content. You can print out public ones to hand out with the flyer if you want. But the private one is going to have the listings agent's information. So if it's your listing, you can hand out the private one if you want, so long as there's no verbiage in the private remarks that consumers are not to view. Because could that happen?
Yes.
Yes. So if there's no private remarks that cannot be disclosed to the general public, hand out the private view if it's your listing. If it's not your listing, you want to hand out the public view that doesn't have the listing agent's information and those kinds of things. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Market trend analysis for the area. Guys, this is huge. I think the market trend analysis is one of the greatest things we offer as a brokerage that virtually no other agents out there provide. There's really only a handful of agents that understand this analysis, know how to pull it and provide that data. So if you haven't seen a market trend analysis, just go onto the YouTube channel or the intranet and look for supply and demand analysis. It's a 45-minute video to learn how to do all that. Here's why this data is so important. Well, let me ask you guys. What's like one of the #1 questions consumers ask you as a realtor?
What's the market doing?
Thank you. How's the market? And what do you say?
Good.
It's good. How intelligent is that? You know, like, that took no skill whatsoever, right? So, prospective buyer walks through the door, you show them the comps, and like, well, how is the market doing here? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let me show you. And now you can show them for that market area, based on the price points, supply and demand. So it looks like right now it's a 43%, which means there's more demand than there is supply. So it's a good time to sell in this area. Maybe not the best time to buy, but based on the supply and demand, prices are going to continue to go up. So if you are looking to buy, you'd be better off doing it now, not in 3 months from now when prices are higher.
And you would find that information on MLS?
The data, yes. Now, the training on how to pull that data is on our YouTube channel and in the intranet. Yeah, but all that data is right through the MLS, okay? So if somebody asks you, how's the market? Well, that depends. What market are we talking about? This one? Or the greater Metro Phoenix area? Or what market? What price point? Because do markets differ by price point?
Yes.
It's a completely different market in the 250 range than it is 650, isn't it? Okay. So you got to kind of flip the script and really ask them, what are you asking me, but in a professional manner. So your supply and demand analysis is going to help you show them what kind of market. And don't you look professional, like you know what the hell you're doing, if you can actually show them real-time, accurate data, and you know how to explain it? It's going to set you apart, especially if they're a seller. Oh, here's an agent that actually understands the market. Not just that they put a sign in the front yard and took some pictures and put it on the MLS. Like, any agent can do that. That does not set you apart as a value proposition. Agreed?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions on any of that so far? I'm running through this pretty quick, but it really is this simple. Like, I don't want you to overcomplicate any of this. I'm just telling you what you want to have on hand as a minimum and why you want to have it. Okay? So if any time any of this doesn't make sense, stop me immediately. Fair enough? Okay. All right. You could even include year-over-year stat information. Because again, a lot of people walking through high Cs, they want data, they want information. So it's really simple information to pull right through the MLS. Again, watch the videos on supply and demand and those kinds of things. But have some year-over-year stats, just to be prepared for any and all questions you get. Okay? All right. Here's something I strongly recommend you do, because when you're meeting with consumers, there's actually 2 questions they ask you, and one doesn't pertain to you, does it? So #1 question is, how's the market? Yeah? What's the next most common question you typically get?
Does the dryer come with it?
Yeah, what appliances are included? Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Even when you're not in an open house, this is a common question, and it has to deal with money.
What's the mortgage amount?
Yeah, what are mortgage rates? Yeah, what are interest rates today? I don't know. You don't look very smart. Like, do you know the rates today? Nope, so that's a no, right? Okay, so before you go to your open house, how could you find that information?
Probably a lender.
Yeah, or maybe your lender's there with you, even better. You can get a pre-qual right on the spot. You got Wi-Fi, your lender's got a laptop, you're in business. Yes? Be prepared. So before you start the open house, maybe your lender can email you a flyer about that property based on its asking price, its property taxes, and its HOA. Here's a couple different loan situations, FHA versus conventional versus VA, and here's what the payment amounts would be. Would that be useful information to that prospective person walking to the door? Do you look professional and prepared? So that's what you're doing here. They're interviewing you and deciding if they want to work with you. Not having any information and just putting some signs out isn't going to cut it. Okay?
I got donuts.
Yeah. I got balloons and donuts, come on in, right? Yeah. No informational value, but I'm a good time. So all these little details really matter and add up, and people notice. By the way, I want to tell you, if you just follow this outline and you have these items, you're going to be a world above your competition. I invite you, Go to other open houses. No name badge, no nothing, just as a consumer. Walk through there and see what your competition's doing. You're going to be shocked. You're going to walk in, they're going to be sitting off in a corner reading a book, and they're going to be like, hey, let me know if you got any questions, reading their book. No information, maybe a flyer or a listing plano. That's it. They're looking for those people that, that 0.00001% of people that are walking to an open house and they got to buy something today. I call that a waste of time. Yeah? All right, so be prepared, have the information available, provide value. Okay. Buyer consultation book. If you guys don't know what this is, we have some in various offices. Get that. Here's why. When someone does walk through the door and they are looking to buy today and they're not working with an agent, you're going to have a process. You can do a buyer consultation right on the spot. Now, could you build a connection and foster a relationship with those prospective clients by having a little consultation? Yeah. Gives you a chance to connect and educate them. And then you can set up an appointment. Thank you. So here's one for the, that's a listing presentation.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, good, yeah. So I would have a buyer consultation book and a listing presentation. Now, let me give you a little caveat though. Although I take a listing presentation, I don't necessarily want to have a listing presentation with a prospective seller, unless I absolutely have to. Like if they're a super high D and they're like, hey, if this guy doesn't give me information now, I'm out. Then I'll pull it out. The reason I don't want to get too much into this is because I want to be able to do that at a time when they're ready to sign a contract, a listing agreement, right? If I give them all the information up front now, there's no need for me to come over and look at their house, in their mind. Now in our minds, I definitely need to go over there because I got to see the condition, the upgrades, and all that stuff, right? But that's my time to not only go inspect all those things, but then provide value by showing them what kind of marketing I do, so on and so forth. Make sense? Okay. So have it on hand in case you need to refer to it. Because if you do have a seller walk to the door, they're like, well, what kind of marketing do you do? You'd be like, well, I mean, I do. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Come on over, have a seat. Can I get you a bottle of water? Would you like a donut? Right, Amy? And you can go through that process. And then, now the only thing that's missing is the CMA, and that's when you can set up an appointment, and so on and so forth. So I don't want you to have a listing presentation on the spot, but be prepared just in the event that you need it. Fair enough? Okay, thank you. All right. Another thing that I would have readily available to give to clients is some testimonials. I'm of the opinion testimonials are one of the greatest assets you can have. So, if you've had some transactions and you have no testimonials, go back to those people and get them. They're worth their weight in gold. So when a prospective client comes through the open house, they're going to leave with a flyer for the open house, a market trend analysis, because they're looking in that area, and your testimonials, so they can read at their leisure. I mean, it's one thing for you to tell clients your value proposition. It's another to hand them a sheet written out by other people on what they thought about you and your services. That carries more weight than anything you can say to them. Yes? Okay. So if you don't have that, I would start working on it right away. It's a nice handout.
Just a basic blank piece of paper and just to your clients, write a testimony for them.
Well, if you want, but I'm saying as you close transactions, that's definitely a conversation you want to have with that client. And it doesn't matter if it was a seller or a buyer. Yeah, if they're willing to email you or go on to Zillow or Trulia, even better, and write a testimonial, you can copy and paste that onto a sheet, format it with some nice graphics or whatever, and now you have a handout for people, in addition with the other information. Yeah. Yeah. Aren't you marketing yourself? What better way than testimonials? Okay? All right. So, last couple housekeeping items on here for your open house. Have some bottled water, especially in summertime. So, make sure it's cold, as cold as possible. All right? If you got to go over there the day before, let's say it's a vacant listing, and pop some waters in the freezer, or maybe that day you're bringing over an ice chest, put them on ice until they kind of cool down a little bit, put them in the fridge, whatever you got to do. Because here's the other thing. When it's 115 degrees outside, and people are looking at houses, they're committed, aren't they? Yeah. It's not because it's a hobby and something to do. Because it's a pain in the butt to get out of the car when it's 115, go in the house for a little while, come back out to the car. You guys know how hot it is. All right, so I'm of the opinion some of the best time to do open houses is when other agents are not, which would be the middle of summer. If that's the case, you definitely want to be strategic about this. So what I recommend you do is, before you put out any signs, go to the house, turn on the AC, crank that baby down, get it cool in there. Then go place out your signs, come back to the house, change your clothes, at least your shirt. You're probably going to be sweaty, right? So you don't want to go put out signs in the attire you're going to be in front of the people. Does that make sense? Okay. That's just a small little open house hack for you. You'll thank me later in the middle of the summer. Okay. So have some bottled water. Have some kind of snacks. Because here's the deal. As they walk through the house, we're going to talk about scripting in just a second, you want them to stay there as long as possible, don't you? Give you a chance to connect and have a conversation. Find out their motivations, what are they really looking for, and how can I provide value? If I can provide you value, you might want to give me what I want, which is your contact information. Yes? So I got to earn that information. Okay. So have some snacks, have some bottled water. It can keep them around so you can work on that connection and engagement. Especially if it's 115 degrees outside. You just came in the house and walked around, you give them a bottle of water and some donuts or cookies or whatever you got. And as they're stuffing their face with that cold water, trying to rehydrate, give you a chance to talk, connect. Don't overlook that seemingly insignificant event as an opportunity to secure a client. Okay? All right. Oh yeah. If it's a vacant house, make sure you have toilet paper. Right?
And the water's on.
Yeah, make sure the water's on. Like, guys, if you've ever done an open house that's vacant and you don't have toilet paper, you're going to really wish you did. Like, that's serious business. As comical as it is, like, try really needing to go, not having anything. You're going to be mad.
And make sure you do your business before you go.
Yes. You know, yeah, anyways. You get the point, yeah? Okay. All right, any questions so far on the checklist? Moving on? Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about scripting. First thing I would recommend you do is when you set up your little table or your little situation there with all your flyers, what I recommend you do is pick a place near the front door. So if there's a family room or something like that where there's a window that you can see out. Reason being is you want to see those prospective people pull up to the house so you have a chance to do something. What you don't want to do is be off in the kitchen or something of that nature and someone walk through the door and now you're surprised that they're there. Because if you don't see them pull up, well, let me put it this way. When you see them pull up, it gives you an opportunity to do a couple things. One is you can start fact-finding. You can start looking for signs of things that you can connect with. Because when they walk through the front door, you don't want to start talking real estate. You want to start talking about some commonalities. Maybe they pull up in an old vehicle, like a classic. As soon as they walk through the door, after saying hi, introducing yourselves, I'd start talking about the car. Maybe they have a Simplify license plate cover. Oh, they're a Marine. Connect with that. Spark up a conversation about anything other than business. People do business with people they like. Yes?
Yes.
People like themselves. Find some common ground. Anything to talk about that's not real estate. Make sense? Okay. So if you see them pull up, it gives you more time to look for those items, but also it gives you a time to wake up. Because if you've sat in an open house for an hour and a half, how's your energy? Higher or lower than when you started? Way lower. You're almost like nodding off. Yes? Unless you're hyping yourself up on some Red Bull or something. Okay? So they pull up, it gives you a chance to change your physical state, your physiology. Like game time for me to show up. Right? Because they walk through the door, they want to see some like half asleep agent or someone that's professional and ready to go. Okay? So it's very strategic. So they walk through the door, you start making some connection, talking about some common ground. Maybe it's the shirt they're wearing. Maybe it's anything. You're looking for any sign whatsoever, an excuse to engage them on a personal level. Okay? So they walk in the door. What's the first thing you say?
How did you find me?
Yeah. Hi, my name's so-and-so. How did you hear about the open house? You want to pay attention to that. Was it the signs? Was it Zillow? And start tracking these things. So now you know what's really working. So you can place more time, energy, and effort in using that strategy above all others to help drive traffic. So you've got to be responsible and ask for that information. Make sense? Okay. What do you ask next? Ask next.
I just started with tour after that, so I didn't really have it
Okay.
after that.
I was asked, do you live in the area?
Yeah. I'd start doing some gentle fact finding. So, would you like me to give you a tour of the house, or would you like to go off on your own? I give them the option. If it's a small little cookie cutter home, they're probably like, no, we got this. Yet if it's a larger home or a custom home or something of that nature, maybe you want to offer giving them a tour. But give them the chance to decide. Now, if they let you give them a tour, then you can start asking questions. So what has you out looking at houses? And you're going to hear all kinds of things, aren't you? Some things are just walls or smoke screens to like get them, it's their way of communicating to you, like leave me alone, don't bother me, because they feel like they're on a car lot. You know what I mean? So, start fact finding. What has you out looking at houses? Oh, we're just kind of looking around. It's a very common response, isn't it? Okay. Oh, great. So, do you live in the neighborhood? Oh, yeah, actually we live just around the corner. Oh, it's fantastic. Do you live in your, or, excuse me, do you own your home or do you rent? Oh, we're renting right now. Great. So are you looking to buy a home in the future? Like, you've got to ask these questions. Now, why do you think most agents don't ask these questions?
Because they don't know anything.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm pushing them or pressuring them, right? So they're going to take a little tour and then they're going to leave. So why in the world are you even there?
And the lenders are like, do they have an agent? I don't know, I just said hello.
Yeah. So those fact-finding things, a couple questions you want to write down, to memorize, to ask them, and we'll make a sheet and have this on the internet too. What has you out looking at houses? Like, why are you here? Do you live in the area? Oh yeah, just 2 streets over. Oh, fantastic. Do you own or rent? Another question I would ask is, have you looked at a lot of houses lately? That's a good one, because that's a covert way of saying how motivated are you. If you're like, oh yeah, every weekend we're out looking. Okay, are they really just looky-loos as for something to do on a Saturday, or are they really looking because they need to buy? Right? So it's a way to kind of gauge motivation and where they're at in the process. That's what I find anyways. So obviously if they're owning, you can ask how long you lived in your house. Again, it's just conversation pieces. But is that important information for you to know? Because like, oh, just 6 months ago we bought. Do you think they're looking to sell? I mean, possibly, but probably not. Right? Okay, so they say, oh, we bought 8 years ago. Oh, so you're looking to upgrade or downsize, or what's the situation? Like, they're giving me an excuse to ask the next best question. Right? So just be engaging. So it's not interrogation, yet it's just fact-finding. Almost like a 5-year-old asking why. Yeah? Okay. So if you've got a good persona and personality and you're excited to see them, not because they woke you up from your nap, but because you're, you're there to engage and connect with people, they're going to want to engage back with you. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's talk a little about, one of the objections you kind of get is, oh yeah, no, we live in the neighborhood and we're just out looking at what else is available in the market. Why would they want to know that information?
They probably want to know how much their house is worth.
Exactly. They're out looking at the comparables, they're doing their homework to find out, and they're going to be like, oh, well, we have this and they have that instead, so ours is better in this way, but theirs has a pool and we don't, and they're priced at, right? So they're a seller looking for what their house is worth. They may not even be looking to buy in that area. It's potential, but likely not. So they're just out doing their homework on comps, aren't they? Okay. So that's when you want to ask them, like, do you own or rent? Do you live in the area? Do you own or rent? What has you out looking at houses? Now, some people are going to sandbag you no matter what. I don't care how good you are or how great your scripts are. They just don't want to engage with you. Is that okay? Yeah. Make it okay with yourself. Like, you're not going to convert 100%. Nobody will. I don't care how good you think you are. You're just not going to jive with everybody. You know what I mean? Yet you can be responsible and diligent and ask the right questions. So, let's say they literally live across the street and they ain't looking to sell. Can you turn that into a great contact?
What relatives do they want to move into the neighborhood?
That could be a great question. So another one is, well, hey, since the house is vacant, can I ask you a favor? Would you mind, like, if you see water running out of the garage or any kind of funny activity, would you mind calling me? The sign on the number on the sign out there is my cell phone. So you can call me 24 hours a day, let me know if anything's going on with the property. Would you be okay doing that? And they're going to say, of course. And you can make a connection and stop talking about real estate. And just connect personally. And they're going to keep an eye on the house for you. And is that someone you can put in your database? Oh, look at that. Now you do a really good job and you sell that house and you sell it for good money, that person's going to remember. Like, I can't tell you how many listings I've gotten from neighbors of houses I listed in the past. Whether they were in my database or not, they kept the information. If they came over during open house and we connected, they saw I sold the property fast and for top dollar, they'll keep your information. But the way to guarantee that they'll keep your information is for you to get theirs. So if you ask them if they wouldn't mind keeping an eye on the property, obviously you're going to ask them, what's your name, right? Do you mind if I call you for anything for the property? You don't necessarily need to get their email address, but if they're willing to give it, great. Could you add them on your pop-by list if you don't have 25 people? Yeah, you can turn these people into relationships. Isn't that the name of the game? Relationships? So they don't need to be a prospect ready to buy or sell today. They can be people in the area. Which also leads into another marketing strategy you can use. Let's say you're going to do an open house on a Saturday, 10 to 2. What you could do is Thursday or Friday, a couple days before, you could hand out flyers for a private viewing for the neighborhood, for the neighbors only. So you can make a little flyer that says, hey, we're having a private showing on Saturday, just even a 1-hour window. That's it. You don't need any signs, you don't need anything. All you need to do is go down to like the next 50 or 100 houses around there and hand out those flyers that you're having a private viewing for the neighborhood only. That gets you in front of a lot of people, doesn't it? Because you're going to get a lot of nosy neighbors. They just want to know what Mr. and Mrs. Smith's homes look like. You know what I mean? They've lived across the street for years and just curious. Curiosity kills the cat. Well, now you give them a private invitation that only the homeowners in the area get to come to, and you get to connect. You might get some really good contacts. You might get some people that are renters. Yeah? Okay, so you're really only limited with open houses to your own level of creativity. I'm just attempting to give you guys kind of an overview and some basic fundamentals for you to get out there and have more success. But this is not an all comprehensive class on all the different strategies, just some that are fundamental, okay? All right. So we went over basically just a looky-loo, just kind of in the area, thought I'd pop in. Great. Do you live in the area? Do you rent? Do you own? Those kinds of things. What has you out looking at houses? The objection of, I live across the street. Have you guys gotten any other objections? Anything you want to specifically address?
I have an agent.
I have an agent? Good.
They walk in the-
Oh. Well, if someone's walking to the door with their agent, like, go back to reading your book or whatever you're doing.
Well, no, they don't even have it with them.
Oh, okay. Oh, they just have a card?
No, they're just like, it's like when they were coming out to buy a car, they're like, oh, I have it. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. And if that's the case,
That's with like cookies and you want to enter the line.
yeah, and if that's the case, just leave them alone. So, let's say the conversation is going really well. They live in the area, they own a home, they're looking to sell, and they're out looking at what else is on the market to get an idea of what their house is worth, right? Okay, so the conversation went well, or it's going okay. Maybe I'm not getting all the information I want, they're not very forthcoming, but at least they're engaging, okay? So, what has you out looking at houses? Well, we're looking to buy about 6 months or less. We're not really ready today. What they're saying is don't push me, don't pressure me. Okay, now how can you give them value so they want to give you their information? They're looking for houses. What can you provide of value?
Search.
Yeah, some houses,
Yeah.
right? Well, hey, I'll tell you what. So for me to save you a little bit of time and gas and headache, tell me what you're looking for specifically. I'll do a custom search in the MLS and get those properties over to you, and every day I'll send you new properties that match your specific criteria. And here's why that's a value. Yes, you can go on Zillow. Yes, you can go on Trulia and all the other sites. But what you need to know is, those sites are pulling data from our MLS. So it's not always accurate or up to date. I'm going to get you accurate, streamlined information that's going to be way better than what you can find online. Would that be of interest to you? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Great. Okay, so tell me about the house you're looking for. And let them go off, right? We're looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Great. Why 4 bedrooms? Why is that necessary for you? Well, we need 3 bedrooms and then I want a home office. Oh, what do you do? Well, I'm a da-da-da-da and I'm self-employed. Great. Let me ask you a question. Would 3 bedrooms and a den work for you too? Or does it have to be an actual 4th bedroom? So now you're engaging them and you're taking interest in their needs and desires, yes? Does that foster the connection relationship or hurt it? Makes it better, right? So you're fact-finding, you're building the relationship while you're getting the information you need in order to provide value, right? Okay, so if they want you to send them a list of properties, what are you going to need from them?
Their contact information.
Yeah, great. What's the best way for me to get you this information? What's your email? And hey, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get you my information. What's your phone number? I'll text you my digital business card. You can get that from Driggs. You can just text them your contact information, doesn't matter. Now they wanted to give you their information. Do you have permission to contact them? Yes. So if you want their contact information, provide them value first. Then they're going to want to give it to you. They have to give it to you. But the only way you can provide value is to ask them what would be of value to them, right? So you're going to be forced to open your mouth and have a conversation. Heaven forbid. So you find out what could be of value to them by asking questions. Any other objections or? This is all pretty simple, yes? So I really, this doesn't need to be long and comprehensive and so structured. It's really just simply have the information prepared so you can answer any questions that should come up. And then how can you engage with them? Just connect with another human being. There's no necessarily scripts because you're going to get all kinds of objections. But if you're willing to ask questions after question after question, you're going to find potential situations to give them value. They may say, we're just looking at comps, we're looking at houses in the area to see what our house is worth. What does that tell you? They might be looking to sell. So you'd ask them, oh, you thinking of selling? Yeah, maybe in a few months when school's out. Okay. Because the kid situation, don't assume anything. So would it be of interest to you? Would it be of value if I provided you a market analysis on exactly what your home is worth? Would that save you a little time and effort? Yeah, that'd be great. Wonderful. So what's a good time for me to come over? Let me grab my calendar here. Set an appointment. Guys, there's agents that are taking listings hand over fist by doing open houses. It's not about selling that house. In fact, if you sell that house, you practically won the lottery. Because the odds of you selling that property are so slim. I mean, think about it. That property matches everything they're looking for, and they're already pre-qualified, and they're ready to go. The odds of that are super slim. So you're there to just give yourself an opportunity to get potential people through the door that you can connect with. I mean, it's the #1 way to get in front of a lot of people if you're setting it up right from the get-go. So there's not a lot of scripting that needs to happen other than those kind of fundamental questions. If you ask those questions consistently, you're going to find enough information to know how to provide them value. Whether it's a list of houses, some comparables, doesn't matter. Okay? Guys, any questions at all?
I found that I want to go back to the listing agent. So you're in the house, and all the budget that you put towards this particular event just gets funneled to somebody else. So I know the ultimate answer is have your own listings, but until you have that, I'm finding it hard to actually monetize being someone else's.
Got it. Okay, so just in case it didn't pick up, the question was, you're finding that buyers walking to the door want to deal directly with the listing agent.
Yes.
Okay, so here's how I would rebuttal that. Can you tell me why you want to deal directly with the listing agent? Now you probably already know.
Because they know more about it, and they know the back end story, and they're just more involved.
Yeah. So here's how I would overcome that. I can appreciate what you're saying. You want to deal directly with the listing agent because they have more information on the property. However, I'm going to get for you a seller's property disclosure statement which has all the information. And I can ask the listing agent anything we want to know. However, it would likely be in your best interest to deal directly with me, even though I personally don't deal with the seller. I'm here to represent you. If you deal directly with the listing agent, yes, they need to represent you as well. However, here's one thing you will not get from that listing agent: confidential information. That agent is not allowed to tell you how much the seller is willing to accept. Now, if I represent you, I can ask for that information, and if they tell me, I can convey that to you. But they likely won't tell the buyer directly. But as an agent to agent, let's be honest, we're looking to get the house sold. Sometimes agents will tell me, even though they're not allowed to, but they won't tell the general public. So having me, I might be able to get that information for you better than you can. And think about it. That listing agent has a relationship with that seller, right?
Right.
Okay, so do you think they're going to negotiate on your best interest, in your best interest? Now, technically, they're not supposed to negotiate on behalf of the seller if they're representing you too, to your detriment. But do you think that happens? Potentially. So, having two separate agents, I can negotiate on your behalf. I can fact find on your behalf. And I'm here to represent you completely. And I won't tell them your confidential information, which is, what are you willing to pay for the property? I mean, if you offer something less than what they're asking, do you want the seller to know how much you're willing to pay? No. Now, if you're dealing directly with the listing agent, do you think that listing agent, if you make a lower than list price offer, and the listing agent knows how much you're willing to pay, do you think they might communicate that to the seller? Quite possibly, even though they're not allowed to. So really, there's, in my mind, as a professional, there's no value to you in going directly to the listing agent. In fact, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, another rebuttal you might get from people wanting to deal directly with the listing agent is they think they're going to get a discount. If I go directly to the listing agent, then they don't need to pay two agents. That's the perception anyways. So if you ask them, why do you want to deal directly with the listing agent, and they tell you that, here's how you can overcome it. Well, here's what I want you to understand about commissions. When an agent takes a listing, that 6% is already in the contract. It's already in the price. It's 3% for the buyer's agent, 3% for the listing agent. So I'm an agent. If I sell the property myself, I want both sides of that commission. Why on earth would I lose half my pay? That doesn't make any sense to agents. So if you think you're going to get a discount because they can work with commissions, maybe a little bit, but not necessarily. Why don't you let me go to bat and get you the best price possible? And then you get full representation. Does that make sense? So again, if you just ask, and then you basically give them perspective from your professional standpoint based on experience, knowledge, and expertise, or just this video, you can quickly overcome some of these false perceptions that the average consumer has and flip the script and show them why you are of value. Okay? That was a good one, by the way. Thank you for that. Any other objections or sticking points that you guys have experienced in open houses?
Parking.
Parking? Say more.
Park in the garage, in the carport, or do you park a little bit off the?
Great question. Thanks for bringing that up. So if I was to do open house, I would not park in the driveway. And I would not park on the street directly in front of the house. I don't park in the driveway because I want them to pull into the driveway. If it feels like home, they're going to buy. Right? You don't want to park in front of the house because you could block the signs. So park directly across the street. Okay? That's my recommendation. Now, for some people will tell you, no, park in the driveway, so for safety reasons for women, so you can run to the car. Maybe some truth in that. However, the odds of something like that happening are extremely small. There's other ways to be diligent and aware of your surroundings and have exit strategy before you even, allow people through the door. Right?
Turn on all the lights and open all the windows.
Absolutely. And so we can talk about that for just a moment. So for the ladies doing open houses, like before you unlock so let me back up a little bit. When you go into the house to get set up, I would lock the door. Go turn on every single light in the house, ceiling fans if it's hot, whatever the case is. Inspect your surroundings, open some blinds, right? Get the house ready. Then you can go unlock the door. And that's another reason to position yourself right by the front door, because if somebody comes up, women's intuition is pretty good usually, right? And someone gets out of the car and you instantly get that sensation like this person's kind of a creep, do you want to be positioned in the back of the house? No. You want to be as close to that door as possible. We've even had ladies that when someone's coming up to the door and they greet, they instantly know there's something wrong with this person. So guess what you can do because you're by the front door? Hey, I'll tell you what, I'm going to step out and take a phone call right quick. Go ahead and look through the house and let me know if you have any questions. Now you're outside. Does that make sense? Okay? So the closer you are to the front door, the easier it is for you to get out. Yet you're in the back of the house, somebody comes through the front door and you've got to walk up to them and they lock the door behind them, now you're really far away. Right? So just always be conscientious of those kinds of things. That's why it's another good reason, especially for the ladies, to position yourself by the front door. It just gives you more time to assess the situation so that you have more time to react. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. It's a good one. What else? This is why we do these recordings with people, because you guys have lots of good content.
How much are you looking to spend?
For the open house? Really nothing other than my bottles of water and some cookies or donuts or something of that nature. There really doesn't need to be any spend.
You mentioned earlier the feedback cards or feedback sheets or whatever. A good place to go for those are your title company. Because oftentimes they'll have feedback, just entire booklets that you feel and, let it go. So
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't have to worry about formatting and printing and all that stuff. Your title partner should have plenty of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can make your own. So a couple things you want to notate on there is, what do you feel about the price? How about the condition of the flooring, the paint, the kitchen? Does the house need some updates? How would you rate the exterior condition, the overall interior condition? Those kinds of things. Any other questions? All right, I think that's about it.